Welcome in to OutKick the show. I'm your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic Wednesdays wherever you may be across this nation or around the world. We've got a lot to dive into, most particularly the Trump speech last night. I reacted live on Fox Nation with OutKick's Tommy Lahren, among others, and I watched the speech from Kid Rock's Honky Tonk downtown Nashville, and I have my entire notepad of things that I wrote down during the speech. So I'm going to run through a lot of the things that stood out to me and I thought were particularly newsworthy. There were also college basketball games taking place last night. There are college basketball games taking place tonight, and I want you to know, Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. With Prize Picks, you against the number. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this basketball season. Which players are going to be hot? Which players are going to be cold? Who are you going to take to score more, less, on a variety of different player options during March Madness? Make your picks under a minute. Turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Sign up today. $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive a $50 bonus, and I have got a winner for you guys tonight, okay? Two good games going on. Tennessee is at Ole Miss. Ole Miss has been very good this year under Chris Beard. Florida is at Alabama. Top 7 matchup, number 5 Florida against number 7 Alabama. 3 of these 4 competing right now for a number 1 overall seed. Here are my picks. Jemai Mashack, more than 4.5 points for the University of Tennessee. He drained the Big 3 to beat Alabama, and he now is continuing, I think, to carry on his excellent play in his senior season. I'm taking Jemai Mashack more than 4.5 points. Jordan Gainey, more than 1/2 three-pointer made. Okay, these are 2 Tennessee players. I feel good about them both performing at a high level. Lots of points going to be scored, I think, in the Florida-Alabama game, which is why I'm going to take Walter Clayton Jr. of Florida, more than 1.5 three-pointers made. And I'm going to take Mark Sears, more than 1.5 three-pointers made. Now, some of these are not directly even money, but you make about nearly 2.5 times your money. You will more than double your money. A $20 bet will turn into $45. A $100 bet, oh man, my math's going to be tougher here, is going to turn into like $15, something like that. You're going to more than double your money if I'm right on these 4. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code OutKick to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5. That is, you get $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. You can play in California, Texas, Georgia, Florida, my home state of Tennessee. Prize Picks. Run your game. There are my picks. All right. I thought last night was the greatest speech of Donald Trump's political career. I thought that he put everything together really well in a speech that was not particularly Republican, not particularly Democrat. All it did was embrace basic common sense. We want peace in Ukraine. We want peace in the Middle East. We want to have a secure southern border. We want low crime. We want violent, illegal aliens, criminals kicked out of our country. We want to move towards a balanced budget. We want to eliminate waste and fraud from the government. We want to focus on America before we focus on other countries. All of that could have been said by Bill Clinton. All of that could have been said by Barack Obama. It is uniquely, in my opinion, not a partisan address. Yet, Democrats lost their minds. They interrupted constantly. They made Donald Trump look like the adult in the room by behaving like bratty school kids throughout the entirety of this performance. Democrats sat around with little bingo paddles that said things like Musk steals or pay your taxes, Medicaid. It was embarrassing. Democrats have no idea how to challenge Trump. And if you're out there and you're saying, Clay, you have no idea what you're talking about, immediate flash poll from CNN, 69% thought that Trump did a good job. Immediate flash poll, CBS News, 76% thought that Trump did a good job. CNN, CBS, not exactly known as the backbone of the MAGA coalition, and yet Trump was able to get immediate positive results in a way, frankly, that he rarely does. In fact, in his entire political career, the only time I can remember Trump getting very favorable responses was after the debate on June 27th when Joe Biden lit himself on fire. I want to play several different cuts that I thought were representative of how last night went. And I want to start by giving attention to 13-year-old DJ Daniel. He is a kid who is an incredible fan and looks up to the police officers. And Trump announced that they were going to make him an honorary Secret Service agent. This 13-year-old kid survived brain cancer. Dad, I believe, there alongside of him. It was a heartwarming moment. It was completely nonpartisan, and I thought it was the best moment of the 100-minute speech last night. Let me share it with all of you. This is Trump surprising DJ Daniel, 13-year-old brain cancer survivor, with the announcement that he was going to be an honorary Secret Service agent.
And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
Leave aside politics. You have to have a heart of stone not to have been emotionally moved by that moment last night. It was incredible. Again, Democrat, Republican, Independent, it doesn't matter at all. You should have been standing, and you should have been cheering, and you should have been applauding that kid's bravery, courage, the fact that he has overcome, as long as he has, a brain cancer that was supposed to leave him only with 6 months to live. More power to this kid. This is how Nicole Wallace responded to this on MSNBC right after the address. She went on and said, I hope he doesn't kill himself one day if he grows up and becomes a police officer because something like January 6th happens. This is Trump derangement syndrome writ large. This was how MSNBC reacted to that moment. Watch.
But I think this was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ. And I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
Now, some people are saying, MSNBC should fire Nicole Wallace for that. I don't believe it. I don't think Nicole Wallace misspoke. I also don't believe in firing people for something that they say on a show in general. Nobody watches the show. Obviously, that's larger marketplace dynamics like Joy Reid. But I think it's important that people actually know what you stand for and what you believe. When they saw this, that moment that was so heartwarming for everyone, people like Nicole Wallace and people who have broken brains because of Donald Trump could not accept a positive story. And it wasn't just this 13-year-old kid, DJ Daniel. I jotted down a bunch of the stories that Trump told that I think made this the best speech he's ever given. Laken Riley's mom and sister were there. That you could see the mom mouthing the word thank you. No Democrats stood and clapped. Alexis Nungary, that is the mother of Jocelyn Nungary, 13-year-old murdered by illegal immigrants that should have never been in this country, just as Laken Riley was. Trump announced they were going to name a wildlife refuge area after her because she cared so much about wildlife. How do you not stand and cheer for that? Basic humanity. The wife of a murdered police officer stood there. How do you not stand and cheer for her? U.S. Military Academy acceptance announced. I believe the kid's name was Jason. The 13-year-old DJ Daniel walked over and gave him a high five. It was an incredibly powerful moment. How do you not cheer a kid having his lifelong dream to be able to go to the United States Military Academy granted? We had also Mark Fogel, a wrongfully detained American citizen that Trump got out of Russia. He had promised to his mother, Malphine Fogel, 95 years old, that he would get her back. He made that promise at Butler, Pennsylvania, right before he was nearly killed. If you are fortunate enough to have children, can you imagine being in your 80s or 90s and having one of your kids held in a prison overseas in a place like Russia? And you don't know how much longer you have to live. You know, every night when you put your head down, it might be the last night that you ever wake up. She gets him back. Can you imagine what that would feel like at 95 years old? How much gratitude you would have? How much basic humanity you would have to reject in order not to stand and cheer for that 95-year-old mom getting her son back who had done nothing wrong? Democrats didn't stand and cheer. How about the Corey Compatore firefighter who was killed in Butler, Pennsylvania? His family, his wife, and 2 daughters were there. Nobody on the Democrat side stood and cheered for him. Corey, the firefighter who protected his family with his last act in the midst of those 8 shots ringing out in Butler, Pennsylvania. How in the world can Democrats look themselves in the mirror and have put themselves in a place where they can no longer acknowledge great, brave, courageous Americans fighting through challenges, whether it's a 13-year-old kid overcoming cancer or a police widow standing there and receiving praise for the work that her husband did, the father of her children. I think Trump not only did the remarkable, he looked like the adult in the room, but also Democrats look like bratty kids. And what ultimately you got if you watch this is, what do Democrats stand for? I know what Trump stands for. Secure southern border, low crime, deportation of violent criminals, affordable food, gas, energy, prices in the United States, a defeat of inflation, secure southern border. What the end of the war in Ukraine and the end of the war in the Middle East, these are all things that 70 or 80% of Americans agree with. In fact, I flagged this from the CBS poll because I think it speaks to how difficult of a position Democrats are actually in. And look, here's CBS News YouGov. 77% of Americans support Trump's plan to cut government waste and spending. 77% back his immigration and border policies. 76%, as I said earlier, approve of Trump's speech. 76% approve of removing congressmen who interrupted the speech. 74% said his speech was presidential. 73% support his stance on Russia and Ukraine. 68% said it made them feel hopeful and proud. 68% say Trump has a clear plan to tackle inflation. 68% said he accurately described America's crime crisis. 63% says Trump is focused on issues that Americans care about. That's incredible. What are Democrats actually for now? Well, we know one thing they're not for: men being kept out of women's sports. In fact, every single Democrat in the Senate voted to allow men to compete in women's sports. One of the individuals that was acknowledged early in this speech was a young lady named Peyton McNabb, a teenage volleyball player who suffered traumatic brain injury when a boy identifying as a girl was able to play girls' high school sports, rise up into the air, and smack a ball directly into Peyton McNabb's face. This is what that sounded like yesterday. Watch.
Years ago, Peyton McNabb was an all-star high school athlete, one of the best, preparing for a future in college sports. But when her girls' volleyball match was invaded by a male, he smashed the ball so hard in Peyton's face, causing traumatic brain injury, partially paralyzing her right side and ending her athletic career. It was a shot like she's never seen before. She's never seen anything like it. Peyton is here tonight in the gallery, and Peyton, from now on, schools will kick the men off the girls' team, or they will lose all federal funding.
It's Peyton McNabb. She later went to social media and shared my sharing of that video clip that all of you just watched. And she said, the hypocrisy. Democrats claim to be champions for women, even wearing pink for show. But just yesterday, not a single one voted for the protection of women and girls. Tonight, not one stood up, not one clapped. Their behavior all night wasn't just embarrassing. It was disgraceful and, frankly, evil. This is a high school female athlete calling out the way that Democrats behaved during the course of the speeches. And if you wonder, Jocelyn Nungary, I saw this too, also pointed out that no one stood for her daughter. Laken Riley's mom and sister pointed out the same. Democrats are broken. Trump has broken their brains. And last night, I thought, was evocative of that degree. Not only do Democrats not stand for anything, they physically will not stand even when basic humanity would dictate that they do so, based on the stories that I thought that Trump told last night. Again, phenomenal performance by Trump. I expect that his overall approval ratings will skyrocket as these clips are shared on social media and go viral. It will become even more of an impactful speech than it already is, and it already was profoundly impactful beyond a shadow of a doubt. All right, much less serious stories. I laid out some prize picks for you guys. Big win. Texas A&M last night beat Auburn. I know Auburn already won the SEC championship. I know Texas A&M had lost, I think, 3 games in a row. Might have been 4 games in a row. Fallen back down quite a lot. They still got the win over number 1 Auburn. And there remain 14 different SEC teams to this exact moment still alive to potentially make the NCAA tournament, which will be laid out, 10 days from now, basically? We will know fully the brackets, the seedings, and where the games are going to be played. One other bit of major sports news. The deadline, I believe, for the franchise tag is 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Mountain, 1 p.m. Pacific. Make sure that I'm right about that, Adam, and that I don't screw this up in any way. Sam Darnold, not going to be franchise tagged. To my knowledge, we've only had a couple of players franchise tagged so far. Trey Smith, offensive lineman for Kansas City Chiefs, has been franchise tagged. And I believe T. Higgins, a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, has been franchise tagged. Doesn't mean there might not be more. and a lot of big contracts getting done. I saw Max Crosby with the Raiders, his new deal come across, Saquon Barkley's new deal come across, a lot of deals getting done here before the deadline. But Sam Darnold not going to be franchise tagged by the Minnesota Vikings. He is at 27 years old and unrestricted free agent. What is Sam Darnold's value? I have no idea. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't know whether the Sam Darnold that we saw in the last 2 games was emblematic and representative. Oh, yesterday was actually the franchise tag deadline, according to Adam. I don't know whether Sam Darnold, the last couple of games he played, awful game against the Detroit Lions for the NFC North Division title, awful game on the road in the wild card round against the LA Rams. I don't know if that Sam Darnold is the one that we should expect to see going forward, or if it was the Sam Darnold we saw play for the first 15 games for Minnesota. I don't know how much the value is out there. Would I rather have, here's a question that I was kind of contemplating, would I rather have Sam Darnold right now, based on what he's done in the NFL, if I were the Tennessee Titans, or Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders? Titans are in the business of needing to go out and get a quarterback. They have the number 1 overall pick, so everything in the draft flows through what the Titans do. I think I would rather go sign Sam Darnold than roll the dice on Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders or anybody else that might rise up. Jackson Dart is evidently now the 3rd overall prognosticated pick in the draft coming up in May. I think I would go Sam Darnold over either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. I just didn't see enough to make me think Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders were total difference makers. I saw a lot that made me like Caleb Williams. I saw a lot that made me like Drake May last year. Certainly Jaden Daniels, I thought reasonably could have been the overall number 1 pick last year. There were a lot of players that I've seen in college football that I bought into on a big level. I'm not sure that Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is worthy of the number 1 overall pick. I would rather the Titans make a run at Sam Darnold or just trade back and go out there and go after somebody like Aaron Rodgers as a bridge, because I don't think the Titans are in a situation where they're just a quarterback away from being really good. I think this team has a massive amount of holes to fill, and I think they're going to have to do it. By the way, Adam tells me that this was the lowest number of franchise tags that we have ever seen, going all the way back to 1994 in terms of players. T. Higgins and, like I said, Trey Smith, only 2 players to be franchise tagged, one from the Chiefs and one from the Bengals. All right. I love all of you. Late night last night, if you have Fox Nation, you can watch all the reaction that we had. A lot of fun. That's up on Fox Nation right now from Kid Rocks. And I will be back with you guys tomorrow. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. A little bit of housekeeping. Next week is spring break for the kids. I'm going to be on the road with the kids, so you will not see me on radio, and you won't hear me on radio. You won't see me on OutKick, but there will still be a lot of content out there for everybody to check out. All right. Love all of you. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. I am Clay Travis, and this has been OutKick, the show.